Well, hello and welcome to my post-Rally GB kitchen table. Goodness me, what is it? It's Wednesday now, so we're nearly 3 days after those unbelievable scenes on the banks of Lake Brennig where, Sebastian Ogier secured his 5th title, M Sport secured their 1st driver's title, their 3rd manufacturer's title, Elfyn Evans secured his 1st victory, and DMAC secured their 1st victory. It was a weekend to remember in rallying for many, many reasons. Yes, those were quite remarkable achievements, but as a British rally fan, really what I found most heartening was just the turnout, the atmosphere. It really was quite special, and I didn't go rallying in the 80s. I was too young. Well, not quite, just wasn't into rallying till I got a little bit older. But we've all seen the pictures, haven't we, from the 80s. Now, many, many times over the course of the weekend, I heard people saying, this is just like a return to the 80s. So it's all going in the right direction, isn't it, rallying? And it's certainly in the UK, it is fantastic to see. The rally itself was exceptional. We had so many good cars, we had such good competition, a fantastic service park, a good route, great stages, great spectator points, good information for the fans as well. So important. I think all round, it was a 5-star performance from the guys who run Rally GB, and it was most definitely a 5-star performance from the drivers. But let's talk about what you guys want us to talk about, really, which is, and by the way, I've got to say, it was unbelievable to meet so many people out there who listen to and watch the kitchen table. Just everywhere I went, people asking me about it, and it really is very heartening to know, A, that people are watching it, and B, that you're enjoying it. Really heartening to see, and a big special mention to Mr. Bogey as well. That's not David Bogey, Mr. Bogey Senior. Really good to have you along as well, Mr. Bogey Senior. But listen, let's talk then about what I'm sure you want to hear. We will obviously offer our congratulations to all the winners. We'll talk about that a little bit later because there are ramifications for what's gone on. Let's talk first about Ogier and where Ogier is and where Ogier might be. It was quite unusual to see the emotion from Sebastian Ogier at that final stop line. There were tears, and there were lots of tears, and there was lots of emotion. Tears of joy, tears of relief. But was it goodbye tears? This is what concerns me. Listen, in terms of where Ogier is going next year, I think he's got 2 options now on the table. I think he might have more than that, but I think he's considering 2 options. I think he's considering a generous offer from M Sport / Ford. Talk about that in a minute as well. And I think he's considering, and I think it's a very, very difficult choice for him, he's thinking about taking next year out. Now, is that taking next year out, permanently retiring? I have no idea, but for sure he's considering it. When I talked to him after that power stage at Lynn Brennig, he said on record, yes, I've got a very good offer on the table from M Sport, which I'm considering, but I've got a very good offer from my wife to stay at home. So he said it on record. I then spoke to his wife, to the lovely Andrea, and she said the same thing. She said, I've made him a great offer. Our son Tim has made him an even better offer to stay at home. I think he's considering it, and I think it's a very, very difficult choice. Listen, any of us who are fathers understand just how difficult it is, the demands of constantly travelling, of being away from your children, of missing key points in their growth and their development. It is tough. It is very, very tough. But Ogier is still a young man. He really is. And it sounds a little, callous isn't the word, but it sounds a little cold to say, he is going to be there. He is providing for his family. He's providing a future for his family. So I think that's where the dilemma comes. Does he stay at M Sport / Ford? Or does he take a year out? Does he potentially retire completely? I don't think Citroen are any longer in the picture. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute or two because that's got massive ramifications for what might happen at Citroen racing next year. Don't know what Ogier is going to do. I genuinely don't. He did say to me, I'll let you know as soon as possible. Possibly before Rally Australia. We'll have to hope it's before Rally Australia anyway. So the M Sport Ford connection, we've all been talking about it, haven't we? And, to give credit to Ford, they have been involved in M Sport over the past 4 years since they pulled out at the end of 5 years. 4 years, at the end of 2012. 5 years, get my maths right. but in a very small way, you know, and you can give lists of all the kind of support that you want to give. Add it up, it doesn't add to much. It really doesn't. Things like chassis, things like engine development. When I say it doesn't add up to much, it'll add up to a few million. But in the overall scheme of things, it's nothing compared to what Hyundai pay, compared to what Citroen pay, what Toyota are paying, which is eye-watering. The Ford contribution, much as I'm sure it's appreciated, has been a pittance. There, I've said it. Could get me into trouble. But we've all campaigned for it, haven't we? We saw the money from Ken Block. The Ken Block deal was put aside, wasn't it? It was a 5-year deal, put aside after 2 years. The deal was, which meant the money was perhaps there to reallocate. So what I'm hearing is that there's a very good likelihood that Ford of Europe will get back involved and will, as far as I can understand, will assist, if not pay for, Ogier's wages next year. Now, it will involve them getting more involved, hopefully. It will involve them getting involved. It will involve them, I suppose, taking more control of the whole situation. Right now, it's a fully operational M Sport operation. I'm saying words twice, aren't I? Operational operation. Dear, it's not a good afternoon. Maybe I needed more coffee today. Yeah, you know, they will get involved more. We'll see more of the Ford involvement, I'm sure. It was interesting that in Spain and in GB, there was a representative from Ford of Europe who was very, very obvious with his presence, particularly in Llandudno on that final podium. What does that mean? He's not been around for many, many years, that gentleman, 4 or 5 years. I haven't seen him at an event. He may have been at events, but I certainly haven't seen him, and I certainly haven't seen him wearing Ford kit, M Sport kit. And he was wearing that on the Sunday. I think it all looks good for a return to rallying, albeit in a semi-manufacturer way for Ford of Europe. But then again, all depends on what Ogier might decide to do. You know, are they still going to commit that money if Ogier decides that he's going to take a year out? I think it unlikely, but we'll wait and see. I think it's a positive. Don't get me wrong, it is a huge positive, because Mr. Wilson said all year long, unless I get some support next year, I can't afford to do it again. I will not jeopardise my company. I will not jeopardise the future of M Sport just to go rallying again next year with the world champion. And fair play to him, he's stuck with that. So, looks as if Ford of Europe could well be getting involved. Looks as if Ogier has got a very good offer again from M Sport / Ford of Europe, but he's considering it. He's considering it. I don't think he is considering the Citroen offer. What does that mean for Citroen? There's a very big question for you. Have they got a plan B? Monsieur Maton told us all along, I'm after Ogier and Ogier only. Surely not. You don't do that. You don't go into battle without a reserve plan. You don't go into battle without having a fallback. I think he must have a plan. Tell you what initially I thought that plan was, because the team isn't strong enough. You know, much as I love Chris Meek and Craig Breen, the team isn't strong enough. No question about that. If they want to challenge for manufacturer accolades, they have to strengthen the team. Chris Meek is a mercurial talent who can win any rally at any time. We know that. He's a bit Latvala-like in his inconsistencies though. Craig Breen, on the other hand, well, he's your number 3, number 2, number 3. He's looking fantastic, solid, dependable. How much can he progress? That is the question. I think he can continue to progress. I think that he will get himself at some point, perhaps towards the second half of next year, where he's right up there with the top boys, competing for podiums, at least, maybe even competing for wins. But that's not enough. That is not enough for Citroen. So initially, what I thought Mr. Maton's plans might be is to publicly declare his pursuit of Ogier as his one and only plan, but in the background he's got the maestro Sebastian Loeb saying, well listen, you know, if you don't get Ogier, you can always have me. Now that's not a bad second choice, is it? I think that's still on the cards. You know, we've always known he's probably, I'm doing it again, we've always assumed that he's going to do at least 2 or 3 rounds next year. It could well be that he said, if you don't get Ogier, I'll do 5 or 6 rounds, 7 rounds. But it's still not enough. For me, it really isn't enough. And I don't know what's going on there. I really don't. Will they have a situation where again next year we have Meek, Breen, Al-Qasimi, Meek, Breen, Lefebvre? Looks that way, doesn't it? Looks that way. What does that tell us about Citroen and their intent? What does that tell us about Citroen and their long-term plans? Tells us, I think, that we should be worried. A little bit worried. But anyway, I'm waiting for Citroen to prove us wrong in this and to show us that they did have a plan B and that the future is rosy, the future is bright, the future is red, and that they will be competing for wins next year, which we know they will with Chris Meek and with Sebastian Loeb on certain events. But long term, what is the future? They have to win titles, they have to win championships. It's very interesting, isn't it? Let's wait and see what happens there. Now, here's a controversial one for you. What could be, who could be the answer to Citroen's woes? The answer to Citroen's dilemmas? The answer to Citroen's lack of a young charger? I'll tell you who could be. Elfyn Evans. Oh dear, jeez, I can feel the kind of indignation wafting over Stoke-on-Trent. I know it's odds on that he will stay at M Sport, and rightly so. He deserves that Michelin-clad first-team car in the M Sport lineup, and he will win rallies in that car next year, no question about it. But here's a bit of a curveball. Yves Maton realises that Ogier is no longer an option. Loeb's come back to him and said, actually, Yves, I'm only going to do 2 or 3 rounds for you. Panic button gets pressed. Who does he go to? He goes to the man who 3 years ago, he recognised as being a rally winning talent. Remember, Maton made an offer to Elfyn Evans 3 years ago. It was a paid offer to go and drive for Citroen. Evans turned it down in favour of a 2-year deal at M Sport. What it tells us is that Maton likes the look of Elfyn Evans. Now, if he liked the look of him then, he will like the look of him more now after Rally GB. I don't think it's impossible, unless Malcolm's got that signature on a bit of paper, which is possible. If he doesn't have it yet signed, sealed and delivered, I think there's a chance that Monsieur Maton may pick the phone up once again to Elfyn Evans and make him an offer. The question would be size of the offer, length of the offer. Can he offer him 2 years? Who knows? We'll have to see. Strange things happen, but I don't think we're at the end of silly season yet. I really don't. I think there are still possibilities. But let's go back to the weekend and let's talk about Elfyn Evans. What a performance. What a performance. I felt it was a little naughty of some of the other drivers to write off his performance on the back of the fact that he was on DMAC tyres. You had to drive that car fast in difficult conditions. You had to pick the grip. You had to pick your way through the fog on Saturday night, and he did that better than anyone. Better than anyone. No question, given a choice, in retrospect, all of the drivers would go on DMAX. I still think Evans would have won it. I genuinely still think Evans would have won it. The tyres were a small advantage. He used that small advantage and absolutely maximised it. He was magnificent, no question. Quick, concise. He delivered exactly what DMAC needed him to deliver. He delivered exactly what M Sport needed him to deliver. He delivered exactly what his career needed. And it elevates him now, because don't forget, Evans is the all-round package. Even when he was in, well, you know, in a bit of a difficult time in his second year of his 2-year World Rally deal. So when was it? 2016, 2015. You know, he still looked on tarmac like one of the top 2 or 3 drivers to beat. He now very much is one of the top 2 or 3 drivers to beat on tarmac. On gravel, is he stronger? Probably. He's right up there. He is right up there. Wherever Evans ends up next year, it's a big call, but I think he will challenge for the title next year. I think he's got now the years under his belt, he's got the experience, he's got the maturity. He's a free-thinking young man now, whereas in the past, he did what other people told him to do. It didn't always work out for him. Now he's a free-thinking young man. He's got experience, he's got speed, he's got consistency, and he's got a cool, calm, collected manner about him, which is what you need. Because really, championships are won and lost on your bad days. When things go wrong for Evans, knuckles down, gets on with it. No histrionics, no nonsense, just gets on with it. Wherever he ends up, and it is odds on, don't get me wrong, and I would like to see him staying at M Sport. It is odds on he stays at M Sport next year, but wherever he ends up next year, he will be a challenger. M Sport, if they get Ogier, business as usual. Ogier, Evans, Sunanen, others. Strong team again, favourites at the start of the year for the manufacturer's title. Maybe Rovanperä on a few rounds there as well on the World Rally car. I think what GB showed, by the way, with Rovanperä is that rallying is an awful lot to do with experience, and he lacked experience. He will learn very, very quickly, that's absolutely for sure. But it's all looking good, it really is. As I say, this news I'm hearing that Ford of Europe are very much back on board, and that discussions are still very much ongoing. Great news. Ogier still considering. Great news. Evans almost locked in to M Sport. Great news. But don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we see a surprise before the end of the year. So there we go. Again, huge congratulations to DMAC. What a story that is. I feel for DMAC. Any other rally, any other weekend, if they'd taken their first victory, that would have been enormous news. Such a David and Goliath situation. DMAC, tiny little DMAC, 7 years in the World Rally Championship against the might of Michelin. A remarkable achievement. When you think how far they've come in a relatively short period of time, what they've achieved is quite incredible. And many congratulations to Dick Cormack, to Briore, what's his first name? I can't remember. Our little Italian friend who is just, you know, the first time I saw him, you see him at stage ends checking tyre pressures, checking tyre temperatures, and you can see his brain just thinks rubber, works out how to make rubber go quicker. He is a genius, ex-Pirelli guy. He is the man responsible for that current DMAC tyre. What's his name? Forgotten it. Sorry, I'm terrible with names, I really am. But congratulations to them, it was a super weekend. And finally, Malcolm Wilson, you know, those of you who follow me on Twitter, at Voice of Rally, might have noticed I'm all for Malcolm Wilson being honoured, properly honoured for what he's done. Not just his sporting achievements, don't get me wrong, the sporting achievements are magnificent. More so for what he's done for Cumbria. He has, you know, it's all very tempting, I imagine, to take his all operation down to Oxfordshire, down to the heartland of British motorsport, where they're all based, where ProDrive are, where BAR are, where Renault, all those teams are based down there. But no, he kept his team based in Cumbria. He's brought a huge amount of wealth into that county in terms of high-paid jobs. He's exported a massive amount. Just think, 240, 250 R5 cars. That's tens of millions of euros of exports from Cumbria down to M Sport. He continues to invest in that operation at Dovenby Hall. If anyone is deserving of an honour in the British honour system, it is Malcolm Wilson. And I look forward to the day that we have to call him Sir Malcolm. But more so, I look forward to the day that we have to address his wife, the boss, as Lady Elaine. I think it'll happen. Well, I hope it'll happen anyway, because as I say, I don't think there are many people who are more deserving in the sports world than Malcolm Wilson. He has done the most incredible job. He's been unbelievably loyal to his county and to the people around him. And good luck. We'll find out in the next 2 months as to whether he's managed to achieve that at the end of what has been a remarkable year. So there we are, guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget, by the way, if you remember back to my last kitchen table, I was wearing my fantastic Wales Rally GB hoodie. You can get those as a memento of what was an amazing weekend from performance-clothing.com. I will run that address along the bottom of the video here. So it's performance-clothing.com for your Wales Rally GB hoodies. I wore mine quite a lot last weekend. It's in the wash now, that's why I'm not wearing it today. Yeah, it's very comfortable, it's very cozy, it's very warm. Performance-clothing.com. Guys, thank you very much as always for joining me. Please leave your comments underneath this Facebook page, or if you're watching it on YouTube, and it was great to see so many of you watching the previous one on YouTube. Just leave your comments there. And yeah, Voice of Rally on Twitter. Get in touch with me as and when you can. It's been a pleasure having you along with us again at this kitchen table.